Hello and welcome to episode 2 of DC Employment Solicitors Employment Law Snapshots, a brief, simple and sometimes amusing look at all things employment law related. In this week's episode, I'll be looking at a case involving the sexual harassment of a waitress on a 0 hours contract, probably the most generous staff outing in the world, and jigsaws. Before we get started, I read a great story in the Telegraph this week where I think they found the most generous boss in the world. It's been reported that Mr. Jin Yuan, the owner of a huge multinational company called Tian's Group, and who's also worth about $1.2 billion according to Forbes magazine, decided to celebrate his company's 20th anniversary by taking over 6,000 of his employees on holiday to France. Apparently, he booked 140 hotels in Paris and also took his employees on a trip to the Côte d'Azur, where they stayed in 4- and 5-star hotels. It's been reported that this staff jolly cost him £24 million of his own money. Not wanting to be outdone by Mr. Jin Yuan's generosity, we're going on our own staff jolly in a couple of weeks. We'll be having a nice long weekend staying at the luxuriously appointed travel lodge on the M180 just outside Scunthorpe, and we're treated everyone to a voucher worth up to £8 to spend at the Beefeater Grill just round the corner. You'll probably know which one it is, it's just by the sewerage works. When we announced our little treat, it's fair to say that everyone at work was speechless. I can only assume it's because they couldn't believe their luck. Anyway, on with the law. This week's case is called Southern against Britannia Hotels Ltd. The brief facts of the case are that Miss Southern was employed as a waitress by Britannia on a 0 hours contract, and she worked in one of their hotels. She alleged that her line manager sexually harassed her over a period of about 8 months. At the time, Miss Southern was 22 and had a history of mental health problems. The detail of the alleged harassment is probably not suitable for broadcast, but Miss Southern's allegations included the fact that her line manager had regularly asked her to talk about her sex life. Miss Southern eventually complained to another line manager and she was told to make a written complaint, but nothing else was done. Following her complaint, the allegations of sexual harassment got worse and included inappropriate comments, touching and kissing. After 8 months or so, Miss Southern went on sick leave because of another allegation of bullying against a different employee. During a meeting with the hotel's manager about the bullying allegation, Miss Southern also mentioned the earlier sexual harassment allegations, but she said that she hadn't wanted to say anything because she was afraid that she'd lose some shifts, because don't forget she was on a 0 hours contract. Miss Southern then made a formal complaint which was investigated by the hotel manager. The tribunal concluded that he didn't do a good enough job with the investigation. He didn't get much information about the allegations and he didn't properly interview a potential witness. The accused line manager denied the alleged conduct. The hotel manager eventually concluded that there had been some inappropriate behaviour, but the accused line manager wasn't given any disciplinary sanction. Miss Southern then brought a claim against the company and her line manager. When the company became aware of the tribunal claim, it decided to reinvestigate the allegations, although 10 months had elapsed since the original harassment complaint, and the original potential witness was no longer available. The line manager continued to deny the allegations, but the new person who did the investigation didn't read the documents from the first investigation, so it became clear at the tribunal that she wasn't aware of some of the inconsistencies in the alleged harasser's evidence. As a result of this, the company decided that there wasn't any conclusive evidence that most of the incidents had happened, save for some kissing, but the company concluded that it had been partly encouraged by Miss Southern herself. Ultimately, the employment tribunal decided that the line manager had sexually harassed Miss Southern. It found that Miss Southern was a credible witness, whereas the line manager's evidence was contradictory. Interestingly, the company wasn't successful in its defence that it had done all that was reasonable to prevent the harassment from happening. The company was criticised for not implementing its policies properly, not investigating the allegations thoroughly enough, and failing to suspend the line manager or discipline him. Therefore, the company was also found liable for the line manager's actions. One of the headline features of this case was the fact that Miss Southern was awarded £19,500 compensation for the injury to her feelings. The relatively high level of the award was influenced by the fact that the tribunal considered that Miss Southern was young and in a vulnerable state because of her mental health issues at the time of the allegations, and also because she was afraid of losing shifts as a 0 hours worker. The tribunal also said that the line manager had abused his position of power, which was then aggravated by the fact that the company had adopted a dismissive approach to the flawed investigation. So the moral of the story is that if you as an employer are faced with allegations of harassment, it's vital that the allegations are taken seriously and thoroughly investigated. And finally, my never-ending search for quirky employment-related stories continues. This week I read a fantastic story in the Express who believe that they might have found the most tedious job in Britain. Mr. Barry works as a volunteer in a charity shop where he spends his days assembling donated jigsaws to make sure that all of the pieces are in the box before they go on the shelves. To date he's checked 300 jigsaws and rejected nearly half of them. That said, he says he's very happy with his work, which he finds peaceful, he's doing his bit for charity, and he's happy that the customers won't be disappointed with an incomplete jigsaw puzzle. Well, I say hats off to you, Mr. Barry, good on you. I've always fancied myself as a bit of a jigsaw puzzle expert. In fact, I can usually finish off a jigsaw in a couple of days, even though the box often says 2 to 4 years on it. I think I can hear the groans from here. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates, click here. If you want to follow us on our fantastic Twitter page, which gives you a daily heads up about everything employment law related, click here. Or if you want any more information or help, please go to our website by clicking here. And again, all of the links are also below. Once again, thanks for watching and see you next time.